What's going on, everybody? Welcome back for another exciting sole swap hybrid. Recently, I've been talking a lot with the Sneaker Savant on Instagram. He has a ton of really unique and interesting perspectives when it comes to the sneaker world. He reached out to me to see if he could commission a couple of sole swap hybrid projects. As soon as I heard of this project, I knew I had to jump on it because this is a really cool one and totally outside of the realm of anything I've done before. He was interested in swapping this old pair of ACG uppers where the soles are already starting to separate with the soles from this newer pair of Nike ACGs because the zippers on these uppers are busted. Let's get started off by tearing the soles off of both of these pairs of kicks. Tearing the soles off of the 1995 ACGs was incredibly easy. Since these hiking boots are nearly 30 years old, all of the factory glue is incredibly dry and brittle, causing for a very simple separation between all of my components. The newer ACGs were a little bit more challenging because the factory glue is still fresh. I applied some acetone using a small squirt bottle to the seams where the uppers met the soles. I followed this up with some steam from a steam gun and then some pressure from my hands to help to further separate the uppers from the soles. I continued to utilize this process throughout each and every section of the shoe until I had peeled back the uppers sufficiently to allow access to the footbed. Once I got to that section, I pulled out my bone folder to apply some extra leverage and make it for an easier separation. Once I had cut off the orange ripcord that held the uppers to the soles, I was pretty much done with my separation. Now that the soles have been separated from the newer pair of Nike ACGs and the older pair of Nike ACGs, you can see that we're gonna have a pretty sick combination of this old school hiking boot with some new school tooling. Before I attach these together, I gotta make sure that all my surfaces are prepped. For this prep work, I started off using a Dremel tool with a grinding bit to remove all of the old factory glue and remaining debris. After that, I touched them up using some acetone on some cotton balls to help to remove any remaining debris. The uppers were a little bit of a different story. Because of their suede composition and the fact that they were so old, I wanted to try to get this glue off as cleanly as possible. I was able to successfully skive a couple of sections, but then I resorted to a sanding bit on my Dremel tool, which seemed to really help to loosen up all of that old factory glue. After getting off as much as I could with my Dremel and skiving, I resorted to using a little bit of acetone and cotton balls to remove the remaining debris, but I wanted to use as minimal as possible to preserve the materials as much as possible. Now that the soles and the uppers have been fully prepped, it's time to get these things glued together. To begin this process, I'm going to try to sit the uppers in the soles as best as I possibly can, and then trace where the soles will fall on the uppers using a heat erasable pen. This will allow me to get nice, clean glue lines throughout and make sure that I have a crisp bond. Once I have everything traced out, I'm then going to apply 2 layers of barge super stick cement about 15 minutes apart from one another to both the uppers and the soles. I always find that doing 2 coats helps to give me the most even layering and ensures that I get a strong bond between my 2 surfaces. Once I've applied my 2 layers of super stick, I'm going to let it cure for about 5 to 6 hours. In order to reactivate the super stick cement, I'm going to utilize a heat gun and apply small amounts of heat to small sections of the shoe, gradually bonding section by section. Traditionally, I like to start at either the toe or the heel to make sure that I get the best alignment possible, but it all depends on the shoe. For this specific pair, I started at the heel, then I did the toe. After getting the heel and the toe all bonded together, I worked my way along the lateral and medial aspects of the shoe, making sure that I had my alignment just right. Finally, I utilized my heat gun on the footbed of the shoe to make sure that I got a smooth stick throughout the entire bottom. Once these things were bonded, it was time to clean them off and try to revitalize the suede. I pulled out the laces and stuck them in a sneaker cleaning solution before I gave a nice, deep, dry clean to the suede. I tried to be as gentle as I possibly could since this suede is over 30 years old and has seen a pretty good amount of wear. Obviously with suede, you want to start off with a dry cleaning to try to make sure that you get off all of the surface debris and dirt. I followed this up with a nice deep clean using some Just Suede from New Life Kicks, and then using my motorized brush, tried to re-nap the suede before applying some mink oil for a little bit more conditioning and some waterproofing to the uppers. Finally, I finished by lacing these things up and my project was completed. I've officially finished up with this Nike ACG Hiking Boot Sole Swap Hybrid for the Sneaker Savant, so let's dive in and take a closer look. When I first heard the concept of meshing up a 1995 hiking boot with a 2017 hiking boot, I was a little bit skeptical. But once I was able to get everything in hand and successfully separate all of the different components necessary for this project, the vision really started to come together. Luckily, all of the components were fitted incredibly well and lined up perfectly when I put them together. I was able to get some incredibly clean glue lines and a very strong bond between the uppers and the soles. Because of the age of the uppers and the fact that they were originally worn, there's no way I was going to be able to make them perfect again, but they look a hell of a lot better and the material definitely feels a lot fresher. This Sole Swap Hybrid was most definitely an unconventional one for me, but I've really enjoyed it a lot more than I expected. I'm really curious to hear what you guys think about this ACG hiking boot combo. Let me know in the comments below. As always, thank you to everybody that stuck around until the cold, bitter end of this video. You guys already know, I'm Sailboat, and I'm out of here.